Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest, SOPHIA FELIX. SOPHIA is the CEO of HBM Talent and Management and co-founder and president of the ICBWA. She is it's a multi-dimensional professional with substantial experience in talent management, business development, and also she works in the cannabis industry. SOPHIA is an award-winning entrepreneur and devout philanthropist. She has made a name for herself as a passionate advocate and educator for the therapeutic uses of CBD, and her specialties and passion lie with helping individuals with PTSD and mental health issues. She has been honored, awarded, and nominated as many distinct organizations, including Hometown Hero Award 2021, Top U.S. Business Leaders Magazine 2020, ABC 10 News Leadership Award, 2018 Latina Corporate Executive of the Year nominee, and honorable mention of Latina Style Magazine, recipient of the 2017 California Hero Award, as well as Inspirational Woman of the Year and Rising Star nominations, hailing from the National Latina Business Women's Association of Los Angeles. All right, SOPHIA, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sheila. Thank you so much for having me today.
And I like to start off by asking, now this show actually came about with my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this last, year and a half or more has shown us every rock bottom imaginable, things we couldn't even fathom. So I love to start off with asking if you have a time in your business or personal life where you experienced a difficult situation, and how did you get back on track?
Absolutely. There's been several challenges that I faced as a business owner. When it comes to a particular one, I would love to share a personal story with you. And it has to do with business and having faith. Back when I started my company, I didn't have a lot of overhead, so I didn't have a lot of capital, and my overhead was pretty low. So I was able to pull things off a lot in-house. However, once I started elevating my company and clientele, I got to a point where I realized for me to really elevate my company business where I want to be and where I need to be, I would need a business attorney. And I didn't have one, and I didn't have the money for it. And it was holding me back. And I knew, okay, in the near future, that's something you're going to have to get. So I saw this online. Someone reached out to me from this accelerator program. It was actually a contest where you pitched your company. And I was ready because, I did other accelerator programs and got scholarships where they taught me how to pitch my company. I was ready to go. So I was like, you know what, I'll take that course just to pitch. And I worked weeks, and it was only like for $5,000 or $15,000 was the prize. But to me back then, that would have been the legal fees I needed to do what I had to do. So I was like, I really want to try this. So I worked and went to the classes for weeks and put my heart into that slideshow. The very last slide, it was in regards to all my charity work, all my awards, all the stuff that HBM Talent Management does for the community that makes me stand up for my competitors. And it was a very powerful and important slide to me because I had baby Isaiah Wallace, the little boy I helped, and I had pictures. So when you saw it, it was hard. It was like, that's special, and I get it. However, when I was pitching in on that stage, I had the judges in front of me. I had my team, some people even flew in to watch me pitch. For some reason, that last slide disappeared. And I'm standing on the stage and I'm looking back and I'm pressing it because I'm like, why would this happen out of nowhere? And I kind of freaked out, but I held it in and I just kept my head up and I verbally spoke about what we do and my experience with that, but it wasn't the same. And I was baffled. And I was like I'm not going to win, that was so important. And I was like, but you know what? I tried and I did my best and my friends are here. I'm going to just enjoy the moment. So I didn't win and they apologized to me for, they had no idea what happened, the IT guy. And I accepted the apology, but I was hurt. And after my pitch, this woman came up to me out of nowhere and told me, hey, Sophie, I watched your presentation. I was very impressed by you. I want to introduce you to my business attorney. She's my personal business attorney. You will love her. And I said, really? I said, thank you so much. Here's my contact info. And yeah, please, I would love to hear more. And that was it. And I thought, I wonder if she'll actually reach out and do that. Weeks went by, didn't hear nothing. So I was just like, okay, it just wasn't meant to be. It's all good. Out of nowhere, I get this email and it's the doctor. And she recommended me to her business attorney, Callie Bagla, who's the owner of Bagla Law Firm. And she's an award-winning boss, like top business attorney in San Diego. I can't even afford her, but I was like, I want that to be my attorney. When I saw her website, when I started thinking, I was like, I want that woman to be my attorney. So it was just in my head, but I was like, I want to meet her. So Callie reached out and said, Sophie, let's schedule a meeting. We'd love to meet you. When I walked in that room, it was love at first sight. She was, I felt instant connection. And after that meeting, I walked away with getting her as my personal business attorney and client.
Nice.
And I thought about it and I said, man, if I would have won that contest, I would have took the money and I probably would have got an attorney that doesn't really care. It wouldn't worked out. Instead, I ended up winning because I got the best attorney ever. And down the line, I've made so much money just with that relationship. And I really, really, with my company, that's when I scaled it up. Nice. And all my contracts, everything, I have her on speed dial. If I ever need her, no one can mess with me. They know it. So I thought about it and it really made me think back then when I was upset at not winning, because people didn't see my charity work and awards. Sometimes you have to kind of sit back and you don't need to show that off. There's certain times where, you could show that your accomplishments, but there's certain times where you just see it, just God needs to see, and he just needs to see it. And that's all that really matters. And there's times where, at my ceremony, I'm having a ceremony next month for my award, and I'm having it at a community church, and it's going to be big. And that's moments where, yeah, I could share it, but I learned a big lesson. Like sometimes you don't know exactly why things happen, but if you have faith and you are a good person, it's amazing how things end up later just by one person seeing you or having that belief in you and taking the initiative to do something. So, I'm so thankful for that doctor, for that woman. She has no idea how much she changed my life. I'm gonna find her and let her know.
So nice. Yes, those things happen in life, and it's always like so interesting when we can't control. And we're like, well, we did our best, and then something goes wrong. Like the internet, we tried to get on earlier, and my internet was down, and so it's one of those situations where it's like we have to sometimes surrender.
Yes.
You're like, okay, I'm giving 110%. I don't have any more. It's over the top. So okay, I have to let it go for whatever reason. The internet didn't align, and it's a professional studio that has a live connect and everything it's supposed to have, and it didn't work. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. But those are the things that happen in life. And sometimes it's a protection or some reason beyond our understanding that happens. And so over the years, I have learned to surrender more and more to that guidance beyond myself. And I know that we contribute in one way, and it's not to receive anything, it's to give, but their blessings always show up. I totally believe that. I've seen that in my life. Sometimes I do one thing in one area and a blessing shows up in a different way than I ever expected. And I'm just really open to it. So it does work. I don't know, manifesting blessings, being guided, prayer, faith. It just makes such a difference in our lives. So I love that story, Sophie. And I'd love to hear more about your agency and what you do exactly, how your agency works.
So I found it, and I am CEO of HBM Talent and Management. I manage professional models, actors, influencers. I also represent other entrepreneurs, whether it comes to business development or branding. So I'm a really good branding expert. I love it. Most of my clients are based in LA, New York, Vegas, and I have a few international ones in the UK and Canada, and I do that full time. I also co-founded ICBWA, International Cannabis Businesswomen's Association, and we're a nonprofit business association that helps educate business owners in the cannabis space, or overall consulting. So, like I said before, in my past, I didn't have money for college, so I took accelerator programs, and those really helped me. So I'm doing similar to that for that. And I just co-founded another business called Peace, Love, and Protein. We're going to be coming out with a protein mix and some health and educational things with that too. The other co-founder is Shauna B. And yeah, I'm rocking and rolling here in California, expanding business. I couldn't be happier. But it's a lot of work. It's 24/7, full time. But I learned to manage my schedule well, and how to keep up my energy. And the clients I work with, it's just amazing. I can't believe that this is my job.
Fun. So for an example, for people coming into your agency for the talent side, how does that work? What does that look like for those listening in that don't know exactly what that looks like?
As far as like models and actors submitting, or the ones that are, so usually they submit like their portfolio, their reels, their work, and I'll do a consultation. Some just need branding, some just need management. So I pretty much do my research on them and come up with a game plan for them, or give them my tools. If they need a photographer, if they need the whole makeup artist, the whole team, we have it in-house ready to go. I usually don't work with talent unless I rebrand them. Even the best ones that are like professional, you always have to look at your brand, small details. Everyone's looking at your images and all that. So I'm very particular. So usually with clients, I'll rebrand them the first 30 to 60 days. And then after that, we'll go over our marketing campaign. It depends on what industry they're at, but I pretty much give them from 3 months to 6 months to 9 months to 1 year strategic game plans, and we just knock it out.
Nice. Wow, that's great. Yes. And when were you first interested in starting this agency? How did that show up in your life? Did you study for it, or as a little girl you wanted to do this? How did this show up?
I think as a little girl, my grandpa Augie, he's no longer with us, but he used to be, he used to sing. He used to have a band when he was young. He had a guitar, and I lived with him for some time when I was a little girl. So I always heard music in the background and him just rocking out. And I think as far as entertainment, that's where I got it from. Definitely my grandpa Augie. However, when I was about 18, 19, 20, I was a professional model for a little bit. And that's how I got my foot in the door. I got signed to a manager in LA and got put on a poster and went on tour. But I wasn't, after that, I was kind of like, okay, I'd rather be, you know, a lot of girls were asking me questions or, hey, how should I go about this? Or how much should I charge? And I thought I'd start just charging them. And, you know, I didn't really have, I'm 5'4", I'm not like a European, you know, model. So I thought about it and I'm like, you know, I really feel that being a talent manager is more what I'm good at and what I love. So I had female models. At the time, I was working for the Department of Defense. That was my full-time job. And this was just a hobby. I was actually making ships and I made really good money and I was working on multi-million-dollar contracts. And the CEO of that company, they mentored me on how to do business and how to production and all that stuff I learned. I was there for 13 years, you know, all that stuff I learned during that time, I brought it, I still do it today. I ended up getting a message from one of the top male fitness models, underwear model, New York City. And he's like, hey, and I thought, but I said, I know. So I signing Phil Fusco, and what really gave me what I needed for HBM to expand in New York and the respect and reputation. I just worked really hard for years to get where I wanted. And best advice is for a business owner who's in this space, yourself brand. I treated myself the last 2 years like I brand. People come to me because they want me to rep them who I am. So the last 2 years, I kind of did a reboot, not only HBM, but myself. And I doubled my clientele by doing that.
Oh, that's great. Yes. I you know, I've never had an underwear model contact me yet. So that's a great story.
and she's still my model. That was in 2014. He's still one of my top clients. No one's leaving once I sign them. They're here. We're family.
I love that. That's wonderful. And then getting into the CBD, so you're helping business women with that. What does that look like?
It is huge. There's huge overall in the cannabis space because the regulations are opening up in state. You're seeing a lot of more people throwing money into creating businesses and you know, their own recreational legal stuff. So with the contacts that I have, it just high. You know, I've been in the skincare industry since 2014, before it was a CBD gold rush. I believe in it because like a lot of veterans, especially that suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, insomnia, mental health, people with mental health issues can benefit from it. I've experienced it with certain people myself. I take it every day myself. I'm spokeswoman for YMCBD, but that I don't look at it like that's for money. I look at it like that's how I know what impact it can make and how it works. And that's just something where like I want to educate people on that, not only because of the great benefits, but women don't get paid there's a lot of women in the industry that have executive positions. We don't get the same amount as men. It's always been like that in the industry. So what I want to do is level the playing field and give both women and men, but specifically women who have their own businesses. I want to give them the tools to actually make it profitable, actually make it successful, because it is difficult. But if you have the right and the right people, you could actually make a great impact in that industry. And that's important to me at the end of the day, not the money.
Right, right. Yeah, that's so interesting. And for some people, it really makes a big difference, like you said, and injuries, different things. I remember I got this lotion when I broke my ribs, and I broke the left side ribs. And I was hiking. I'm not the hiker. Obviously, I stopped that.
So painful.
It was so painful. I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks, and I didn't want to take the heavy drugs that the doctors were saying, which are really habit forming and dangerous. And so then I got that lotion, and I had the first night's sleep, and I was like, oh yes, this is like worth every penny, because and I healed obviously, and it was fine, but it took a while. And you need to sleep to heal. You need to be able to not have the pain for a minute so you can heal. And it really did help me that way, for sure. And I told my kids, I said, oh, I feel like such a user. I had to go get the lotion, and I went to the shop, and it was when it was first legal.
Yeah. You're like, I need to get a couple.
Show my prescription. It was cute. Yeah, but anyway, that was when it was first opening up and starting out in California, and it was very strict in the beginning. So yeah, I said I felt so bad. Felt funny, because here I am, mom of 6 kids, going in to get this, but I was like, but I didn't care because I was in so much pain.
And trend of mothers now with families who are looking out for their husband and children and asking me more questions, asking questions about Teamsters or gummies. And it really makes me happy. For people like grandparents who are like, my mom needs this for pain, just tell me, get it. But I love consulting others on it. Seeing a trend of others actually using it, which makes me happy.
Right. Yes.
YMCBD. I'll send you some goodies after our interview.
Yes. So, and I would love to hear now, do you have a recommendation for those listening in that are interested in the talent side when they're just starting out or they're trying to brand? Do you have any suggestions or ways for them to start? Because I know when you start anything, there's so much information out there and so much advice, and they're all different directions. So where would somebody start if they were just starting?
If you're just starting, the first is make sure you have legit professional headshots, video reels, whatever industry you're in, but professional headshots, because the first thing the manager or agents commit is that you have to make sure the best of your work. Because when I get the amateur stuff where you could tell they're doing trade, investing in a good photographer, I'm like, I would have to up their budget, because even the fonts on the stuff, the photo, don't less is better. Like, don't half-ass. Invest time in your brand. Get the photographer, the best makeup artist, and it will be a return on your investment, because you see a lot crossing corners because they're being cheap and their photos come out terrible. And it's like, why did you waste the whole day? So get a budget, just your marketing material. It's about it. And, once you get that, reach out to either someone like me or agency and submit. I recommend also, especially if you're female, is having a representative or a manager that you trust to go over the contracts with you. Overall, when you are in the industry and you don't have representation, they will not take you seriously, or they will not at that level yet. Because if you are, you would have a representation that talks about the money and the business for you. So also make sure you have a good business attorney. So whatever you are signing to, you understand it makes sense, because I've seen a lot of clients that came after signing stuff from years ago that when I read it, I was like, this is BS.
Right.
So there's predators out there, that there's people that want it so bad, they'll do, they'll sign whatever, but be cautious. Do not sign anything unless you know it's 1% legit to your benefit. And when you think big, don't think small. If you're going to do this, do it all the way. Work with the best, go big. Don't be confident. When I have clients that come at me and they're confident, they're ready to go, they have that energy, I get pumped up. They go first. Because I'm like, no matter, I have clients where I don't even have to worry. If they're on set, I know they're professional the whole time. Their energy is up. I'm going to get great reviews. I shouldn't have to worry about teaching you that. You should know that. So you have to have confidence and faith, and things aren't going to go your way all the time, but you got to walk in there and you got to bring it. Don't get comfortable.
Yes. And I've had friends that have more than one agent for different things that they do.
Yes.
And I just learned about that. And I was like, really? I had no idea about all this. So it is interesting.
A lot of managers will try to sign you and be exclusive, which is cool, but they do that sometimes where it's shady and they try to keep control and keep all the money. Yeah. However, a good manager, like myself, will be your brand or business manager. So I look over everything for my clients. They're not allowed to sign contracts until I review. But if I approve it and there's an agent, that's what I want. I want you to get a good agent who's going to bring in work for us. I'm not trying to just keep you to, let's get the best agents. Let's collab with other people and agencies. So you want to work with people like that. And just because they have a contract and say, hey, I want it this way, you're the client. You're always able to add what you want there. So with my clients, yeah, I'm their business manager. Everything goes through me, but I'm fair and I look at over the best interests of my client, not myself. If there's opportunity, I'm going to tell them, let's go do it. Let's go try. And the more people on your team, the better. The more agents, if they're legit and they're about their business, the better.
Yes.
And if you have problems, you tell them, go talk to my manager.
Yes. And that does, some people won't look at a brand or a person without an agent.
Absolutely. They'll be like, they'll do it for free. Oh, they'll do it for trade. Yeah, exactly. So that does make a big difference. I only had one experience with a talent agent. I was 15. I emancipated from foster care and I was going to college early, and I went over and I said, I'm going to get into modeling. I'm going to go be a model or do a commercial. And I really was focused on doing a commercial. And I walked into this agency in Riverside. It was Janice Patterson. I don't know if they still exist, but they were around a long time. That I didn't have pictures. I didn't have anything, but I had the confidence. And I walked in and they were interviewing for a commercial with a major brand. Nice. For skincare. And I got the commercial. Hey.
And they paid for the pictures and everything. But I was convinced I got this before I got there. And the 15-year-old, stay 15 as long as you can, because there's something about that. And so that was very rare. And I didn't even know that it was rare.
Well, I thought it was your confidence and your energy, because that's what we're looking for, because that's going to make the project a success. Your energy, your confidence. And there are companies that legit, they will put up the money to get what you need. Like if there's certain clients for me and they're like, okay, well, I have this amount, but I'll work with them. There's been a few where I put the money up front, pay me when I publish you, because I know I'm going to be able to work with you. So real managers, real talent agents, you'll see a lot who are going to try to ask for a lot of money to make your portfolio.
Okay, yeah.
Right. If they believe in you, they'll bring what they can to help you get what you need. And then you just pay back, or you make the money.
Yes, that makes sense.
I invest in my clients once in a while when I feel it's appropriate, because they work hard and it's always been a great return on investment. If you're a boss, back it up.
Yes, that's so true. And it makes all the difference. How interesting. And so then there's for models, so you work with models and brands and
brands. I work with other entrepreneurs, businesswomen, more clients who they're not in the entertainment industry, they're successful. They want to invest and develop a new company, or they want to rebrand themselves because they see the trend. So they want an outsider's perspective. So, and some they want me to them because of my name and because, you know, we've had some success. So it just depends on the client, but I'm seeing a trend of just normal female successful bosses themselves see the potential, and those are my favorite clients.
That's great. That's great. And we're actually coming to the end of our talking time. So I'd love for you to share where people can connect with you for both of your businesses.
Sure. You can look up my websites at hbmtalent.com or icbwa/ca.org. If you want to email me, you can email info@hbmtalent.com and I'll get your email.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Thank you again, Sophie. It was wonderful meeting you. And for those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages.
In December of 2017, I lost my house, my car, and my cat due to a fire. It sounds like a country music song, but that was my reality, and yet another rock bottom situation after a long period of doing really well. I had just finalized a divorce, purchased a new car, and moved into a house that I bought for myself and one of my kids to live in while she went to college. I put all my savings into it, closed escrow on November 3rd, and spent some time making it beautiful, more for my kid than for myself. I was cash poor but proud to finally get into a nice home again. A month later, I had a late meeting with a client and was then called to check on an issue with a vacation rental cabin I was running up in the hills. I was frustrated with the delay, thinking, I'm so tired and I've been working so hard, I just want to go home to my new place and sleep. Later, I realized that delay was a protection of the biggest fires in California history and the largest I'd ever seen in my life. I drove back to the little prefab mobile home that I was renting out through a vacation rental service. One of the units was empty, but it wasn't finished. It had a toilet and a kitchen, but it didn't have a shower or many of the other things it needed to make it livable. It was maybe 400 square feet, and that's where I unloaded all the boxes of stuff that were now my only earthly possession. Next day, one of my friends came over to help me, and when she opened the door, the cat I had rescued ran out the door. She was so freaked out by the move that she just bolted and never came back. We couldn't find her, even with a microchip. Shortly after that, my car was totaled in an accident, and my descent to rock bottom was complete. By this time, I was able to get back into action in record time, using a formula I had learned from all the other waves in life. The Boots Formula. I've had an interesting life. It hasn't been easy, but I'm not complaining, and I'm not a victim. I've had a lot of rock bottoms, a lot of downs, but a lot of ups as well. I mean, how many 10-year-olds get to meet the president? I'll tell you that story later in the book. Through it all, I had to learn how to go from rock bottom to rock solid. I had to look back at what I've done and what I still do to get out of that place and back into life. I asked myself, what has helped me walk through the bottom faster and still be who I want to be? Simple language, Boots will grab your problem by the bra straps and help you get back into action in any situation. Sound like something you can use? Let's take a look at each letter. B is for being. The first letter of the Boots formula is B, which stands for being. At one point in my life, I decided This is who I'm being in all that I'm doing. When shift has hit the fan, you realize this is messy, and you just have to roll up your sleeves. Maybe you have other people to help you, but maybe you don't. Either way, you have to be the one in command. You have to decide who you're being and what you're doing. Whether you're starting over or just hoping to make it through, you have to ask yourself, how am I going to show up through this? Who are you going to be as you're walking your puppies or cleaning up the mess? Who are you going to be while you're reorganizing your life and changing your living situation? There's often form, freedom, and order even in the center of a storm. The first O is for orientation. The next letter in the BOOTS formula stands for orientation. As you are living through your rock bottom moment, you need to know that it's not better than it is and it's not worse than it just is what it is. Assessing your current orientation is a really big action step in the BOOTS process. Discovering orientation is part of the overall change you may be in, and it will help you find some surprisingly simple solutions. In this case, we're referring to a place. Where do you find yourself on the map of your life? Within this stage, you'll also acknowledge where you were in the past and where you want to be. Once you know where here is, you can answer, how did I get here? And where do I want to go from here? Assessing your orientation also means considering your options and saying, I am here on the map, and I want to go over there. You need to know where you are in order to think about how to take the next step. If you want to go from California to New York, you first have to know you're starting from California. You then have to know that to get there, I can walk, I can swim, I can jog, I can take a flight, or I can take a bike. I can take a bus, or I can take a train. You use your rock bottom to set the direction for your life beyond this rock bottom situation. It's important that you are really honest about where you are in this situation. You can't lie because you don't want to give up your personal responsibility. You have to own every part of this and realize it could be worse. It could be better, but this is it. If you aren't able to be honest about where you're starting from, you won't be able to clearly see where you want to go or how to get there. If you're not realistic about that first point of orientation, it's almost impossible to get out of your rock bottom moment. At the very least, it will take a hell of a lot longer. A lot of people have a hard time accepting the truth of where they are. They might think, oh, I'm kind of here, but I wish I was there. No, this is where you are. This is where you're starting from. That may be where you want to go, but you won't get there if you don't know where you are on the map. The last piece of orientation is owning it. You are responsible for where you are now. The minute you start blaming people or situations outside of yourself, it was my mother's fault, my brother's fault, the weather's fault. Guess who's in control of your life? Everyone but you. When you own your situation, however, you're taking back your power. The second O is for order of operations. The third step of the BOOTS formula is finding the order of operations. When you're in a rock bottom moment, there are certain steps you know you need to take to get out of it, and you need to complete those steps in a certain order, which will be different depending on what you're going through. Throughout the book, I'll show you these steps in other specific rock bottom situations. As you learn the steps for yourself, you'll become adept at facing any other rock bottom you may find yourself in. In the military, they train people to focus on one thing, find and execute the solution, then move on to the next thing and the next. If you complete tasks on the battlefield in the wrong order, you're not going to win. If you do steps in the wrong order in math, you're not going to get the solution. In algebra, You must follow an ordered set of actions to solve for X, and one step cannot be done without doing the prior calculations. The same is true here. It's very important to order your steps and then complete them in that order. T is for thinking. The fourth step of the Boots formula is thinking. If you recall your thinking at the most successful points in your life, it's probably vastly different from your thinking when a crisis brings you to a rock-bottom situation. Often, at the toughest times, our thinking goes to survival. We lose sight of the possibilities and opportunities that are before us. This is where thinking comes into play. It's vital to have a strong mindset in order to keep our boots on and walk out of a rough spot in life. Thinking leads you to a clear vision of where you want to go on that map of your desired outcome. You've made the decision that you're going to New York. Your bags are packed, you have an idea of how you're going to get there. You know the steps you need to take, though you may not know how the hell you're going to take them all, but you've made up your mind. That's where you're going. S is for stepping up. The fifth and final step of the Boots formula is a literal step, stepping up. You've gone through the first 4 steps. You've decided how you're going to show up. You have a picture of where you're going. You know the steps you need to take, and you've made the decision to actually do something. It would be nice if you could just sit, think, and meditate your desired outcome into being. But that's not the way it works. There is some validity to the idea of manifesting what you want, but at the same time, you have to believe enough to actually go out there and take the risk. You have to overcome your fear of giving your first presentation, making your first speech, or writing your first book. You have to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to take those steps. S is for stepping up by taking the personal responsibility required for a real reboot. While the B in Boots is about being in the present with who you are in the situation, S is for taking those steps toward the future you want. Although there will be many times in life where we have little or no true personal responsibility for an event that alters our lives, it is always a gift to own your own response and reactions to situations. What can you do to shift the energy and step up to your part in the situation? In order to reboot, one must be willing to step into action. This last step ties back to the first one. It all comes back to being. How are you going to be when you're going through this? Sometimes it's ugly, dirty, not pretty, and certainly not fun. Nobody's going to help you move, so you have to pack all the boxes yourself. Procrastinating isn't going to help. You just have to take those action steps you defined in the order of operations. When you first start, it's overwhelming because you feel like you're still buried in the situation. Chaos is all around. But because you've done the first 4 steps of Boots, you have an action plan. You're not doing 1,000 steps today. You just have to take 1. You do the things that you mapped out one by one, and that helps you see, okay, I can do that. You have clarity on the action steps, so now it's time to actually get moving. Are you ready to strap on your boots and start walking? From rock bottom to moment of empowerment. You may be thinking, okay, now I know the formula, but what does it look like in action? S is for stepping up. The 5th and final step of the Boots formula is a literal step, stepping up. You've gone through the first 4 steps. You've decided how you're going to show up. You have a picture of where you're going. You know the steps you need to take, and you've made the decision to actually do something. It would be nice if you could just sit, think, and meditate your desired outcome into being. But that's not the way it works. There is some validity to the idea of manifesting what you want, but at the same time, you have to believe enough to actually go out there and take the risk. You have to overcome your fear of giving your first presentation, making your first speech, or writing your first book. You have to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to take those steps. S is for stepping up by taking the personal responsibility required for a real reboot. While the B in Boots is about being in the present with who you are in the situation, S is for taking those steps toward the future you want. Although there will be many times in life where we have little or no true personal responsibility for an event that alters our lives, it is always a gift to own your own response and reactions to situations. What can you do to shift the energy and step up to your part in the situation? In order to reboot, one must be willing to step into action. This last step ties back to the first one. It all comes back to being. How are you going to be when you're going through this? Sometimes it's ugly, dirty, not pretty, and certainly not fun. Nobody's going to help you move, so you have to pack all the boxes yourself. Procrastinating isn't going to help. You just have to take those action steps you defined in the order of operations. When you first start, it's overwhelming because you feel like you're still buried in the situation. Chaos is all around. But because you've done the first 4 steps of Boots, you have an action plan. You're not doing 1,000 steps today. You just have to take 1. You do the things that you mapped out one by one, and that helps you see, okay, I can do that. You have clarity on the action steps, so now it's time to actually get moving. Are you ready to strap on your boots and start walking? From rock bottom to moment of empowerment. You may be thinking, okay, now I know the formula, but what does it look like in action? Welcome to Dear Sheila, answering real questions with real solutions to help reboot your life. Why is it hard to leave an abusive relationship? Dear Sheila, I recently returned again to my very abusive husband. He's verbally abusive, controlling, and now has started to beat me. I feel like I married someone who has 2 different personalities. I admit I raced into this marriage because we had a child together and my family and friends convinced me to marry. The truth is my husband shows up as the nice guy to my family and friends, then at home he's a monster. I'm terrified he may hurt our daughter. I am now tired of hiding the bruises and playing this risky game. My question is, why is it so hard to leave an abusive relationship, and how can I safely break these ties and move on? Signed, Boomerang Wife. Dear Boomerang Wife, this is definitely the time for rebooting and reinventing your family life. Whenever things get to the point of violence and abuse, it is time to take massive action. Let's run this situation through the Boots formula. Throughout life, one can find themselves facing a difficult situation that often catches them by surprise. Over the years, I saw the patterns in all the times I've had to reboot, and in how I've helped my friends and clients get through a hard time and quickly back into action. Ultimately, I came up with Boots formula. The B in Boots is for being. It is about who you are being and all you are doing and who you need to be during this situation. You are going to have to be really honest and prioritize safety for you and your daughter. This is going to require being strong and asking for help because you truly need it. Who must you be now to make these necessary life shifts? Being honest about the real situation at home is going to make all the difference. The first O in the Boots formula is for orientation. In order to get the outcomes you desire, you must be brutally honest here. How much abuse are you and your daughter facing each day? When did this relationship go from love to fear? What type of outcomes and options do you really desire? Do you wish to divorce or require your spouse to get treatment for this violent behavior? The next O in the Boots formula is for order of operations. Now that you know who you need to be and your orientation, you can decide in which order you must do things. Although we all wish a spouse or other person would show up differently, sometimes it is us who must do the changes. In the long run, the order in which you do things is going to really drive your results. The T in the Boots formula is for thinking. This is where your mindset comes in. Stop waiting for your husband to change and start the hard yet necessary actions toward a happier life. Choose to live in a grateful and happy state now and in each step in the process. Be proud of yourself for your strength and surround yourself with a community of other strong moms who want to help. Your daughter will feel this energy and learn how to set boundaries by your actions. The S in the Boots formula is for stepping up. This is the part that puts all the other pieces you have planned into place and gets you and your home life back into action. The time is now for us to collectively work together to rebuild. My hope is that this video series and my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, helps. In my book and on my website, I provide plenty of free resources along with an incredible support community for anyone dealing with a rock bottom situation to reinvent and reboot their business and personal life. If you have a question.
And the last question I like to ask all my guests, Sheila, is what is one word or quote or mantra that you try to live by every single day?
That's the being. So in all I'm doing, it's who I'm being. So whether I'm walking my puppies, cleaning my house, working with my clients, having fun with family and friends, it's who I'm being, how I'm showing up, that's going to make all the difference.
I love it. Well, I congratulate you on your growth as a person, your ability to be perseverant and work hard to live the life that you want, even when it comes at you unexpectedly and crazy, and how you're helping others to do the same. So thank you so much for sharing your story, and I look forward to hearing more.
All right. Thank you.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMack.com today.
And now back to more messages.
Is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation.
To grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible as well as on Amazon and Kindle and at www.SheilaMack.com.